Good afternoon. Good afternoon and welcome. Welcome, everyone. My name is Kristine Jelstrup, and I'm a member of the Mothers Out Front Cambridge Community Organizing Team. I am so excited to be here with you all this afternoon celebrating the 5th anniversary of this movement. Yeah. We are grateful to our keynote speaker, Terry Tempest Williams, for joining us today and making this an extra special event. As we all know, volunteers, volunteer leaders, and staff are the heart and soul of Mothers Out Front. If any of them are here with us today, I would like them all please to stand and be recognized. Come on, stand up. I know you're here. Yeah, all right. Thank you to all of you for your dedication and passion to Mothers Out Front and for what you give to us every day. To all the allies who have joined us today, the issues we face are hard and big, very big. And we are most grateful, as always, to be working on them together with you. Okay, now for my story. So 3 years ago, I was not an activist, had no experience meeting with elected officials, had never spoken before the city council, and certainly never addressed an audience of this size. I first became aware of Mothers Out Front after seeing some of them marching in the Honk Parade, which is a parade that marches from Davis Square to Harvard Square every year. It's an activist parade. I always thought it would be fun to march in that parade, but you have to be an activist, and I wasn't. When I saw these women in their Mothers Out Front t-shirts, I thought to myself, that could be a cool group to march with. Well, not long after seeing them in the parade, I was invited to coffee by a woman I didn't know. She had heard that I was active in my children's school. She told me all about Mothers Out Front and the work that they were doing. It sounded like important work, and I was impressed. But frankly, between work and family and volunteering at the kids' school, well, there are only so many hours in the day. Sure, I was concerned about the environment and really worried about what life was going to be like when my kids grew up. But what could I do about it? One day, my 8-year-old was sitting in the kitchen with me as we were listening to a piece about climate change on NPR. After it was over, he turned off the radio and said to me, "Mom, do you think things are going to be as bad when I grow up as what they're saying on the radio?" Well, this was a crushing question for me, knowing what I know about climate change, and my mind started racing with images of fires in California, droughts in the Midwest, glaciers melting and floodwaters rising. I took a deep breath and I said to him, "Honey, I'm afraid it's happening now, and I think it's going to be worse when you grow up." Well, he took a beat and thought about it, and he looked at me and said, "Well, what are you going to do about it?" To an 8-year-old, I still had amazing mom powers, and so I needed to put them to work. I had been a longtime supporter of Greenpeace, Sierra Club, and 350, but now it was time for action, and I couldn't think of a better group to join than a movement full of passionate moms demanding that our elected officials move forward on climate mitigation. So I went over to my computer and I signed up. A few days later, I received an email that there was going to be a meeting with some Cambridge city councilors about getting the city to switch to renewable energy. It was just up the street and at a time that I could go, and so I went. The meeting was facilitated by Sarah Snow. She showed a short and powerful film about climate disruption and shared the work of Mothers Out Front. Afterward, there was a discussion with the city councilors about how important it is for the city to get off of fossil fuels. that a place to start might be to not renew the city's contract with TransCanada and look for renewable sources of energy instead. The city councilors seemed to agree, which made me think this group of women might actually be able to make this happen. After the meeting, the Mothers Out Front volunteers were so nice and welcoming to me. They invited me to come to a meeting with the director of the Cambridge Department for Environmental and Transportation Planning. This meeting was also happened to be at a time that I could go, and so I went. At this meeting, I learned that some city departments can't always do the things they know they need to do unless elected officials feel pressure from their constituents. So they love groups like ours because we help them to better do their jobs. I didn't know that. After this meeting, Nina Dillon invited me to a bi-monthly Cambridge Mothers Out Front community organizing team meeting, also known as a COT. My commitment phobia radar was on high alert. A bi-monthly meeting? No way was I getting roped into that. Besides, it was at a time that I couldn't go. Well, she was very nice and told me that these meetings weren't always on the same day and time, and so maybe there'd be another opportunity. Well, not too much later, I found myself at a COT meeting. The women there were all so smart and passionate, I felt a little intimidated. All the talk about electricity and municipal contracts, frankly, it gave me a headache. I thought to myself, I'll never understand this stuff the way these women do. They were all doing so much and working so hard. When the request went around the room to set up a meeting with the mayor and no one volunteered, I thought to myself, well, that's something I can do. That's not so hard. And so I raised my hand. In hindsight, I think they purposely don't rush into volunteers so the new girl will step up, and I fell right into their trap. That was the beginning of the end for me. Once you volunteer for one thing, how can you not volunteer for the next thing? And once you get to know all these wonderful women and how many hours of their time they're devoting to our children's future, how can you not step up? In time, I got to know these women well, especially Debbie New, who joined a little before me. She was doing a lot, and the more she stepped up to do, the more responsibilities she was leaving in her wake. So I just filled the void. What else could I do? Everyone else's plate was full. She led me into coordinating house parties and one-to-ones. Sarah Snow heard I was coordinating house parties and recruited me onto the house party functional team, after which I became a facilitator, which led me to see that we needed a training video, and then to produce one with the house party functional team and my husband. I like to say it's Debbie's fault that I volunteered 20-plus hours a week. If I'd followed her on to the Gas Leaks Allies team, I'd have had to quit my job. All kidding aside, though, I have grown so much by being a part of this amazing movement. I have made wonderful friends, learned how to organize, give presentations, march on the State House and in Washington, and kick some legislative butt. My children have grown too. They have been with me on marches, have written postcards, made phone calls, and my eldest joined a bicycle advocacy group and spoke before the Cambridge City Council at the age of 14. I have to believe that my work with Mothers Out Front has been a good example for them of what fighting for what you believe in looks like. Whatever I have given to Mothers Out Front will never equal what this movement has given to me and my family. Try not to cry. I am so proud to be here with all of you today on the 5th anniversary of this incredible and impactful social movement. Thank you.